some of the best games ever are treasured classics like Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Donkey Kong, Contra, Castlevania, and more. Some of the most memorable games for some people aren't those juggernauts, they're the cult classics. Those masterpieces of games that just don't get the mainstream attention they deserve, whatever the reason may be. This game won tons of awards when it first came out, but I feel like nobody talks about it anymore. Now with the remake hitting the PS4 next month in Japan, I think it's time we take a look at the original. This is Valkyria Chronicles. Just a little disclaimer, if you want to avoid all spoilers to the story, skip ahead to the time listed below. However, if you want to know what the game is all about, just stick around because I'm going to avoid all critical spoilers, including character deaths and whatnot, and maybe I'll throw in a joke or two, so stick around. Valkyria Chronicles is a turn-based strategy. Oh, no, wait, hold on. It's a third-person shooter. Wait, no, hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. Oh, I'm stupid. It says on the dashboard screen this is an active simulation RPG. And we'll get to the battle system in a little bit. Anyway, this game is told in a unique fashion. It's told as a book written by Irene Kohler titled On the Gallian Front. This game takes place in an alternate 1935. Two nations are at war over a precious mineral called Ragnite. The two sides of this war are the autocratic East European Imperial Alliance, or simply put, the Empire. On the other side, we have a group of allied democracies known as the Atlantic Federation. The Atlantic Federation was quickly falling victim to the Empire's military superiority and was put on the defensive. Now the Empire set its sights on a small neutral nation known as Gallia, and it's in the town of Brule where we begin. One of our primary heroes, Welkin Gunther, was returning home to help his family evacuate to the capital of Gallia, Randgries. While doing some sketching, he was stopped by the head of the Brule Town Watch, Alicia Melchiot. While being brought down to the station, he was saved by his younger sister, Isara, a member of the Darkson race who was adopted by Welkin's father. It's around here where the Empire begins its invasion. Thanks to the tank called the Edelweiss, left by Welkin's dad, they were able to help everyone evacuate, but the town was still lost, eventually leading to Welkin, Alicia, and Isara joining the Gallian militia. They joined Squad 7 with Welkin as the leader, granted to him by Captain Eleanor Virat. It is here they meet with Largo Potter, a veteran of the First European War, and Rosie Stark, a singer of a bar with a personal prejudice against the Darkson race. After a few victories, you are joined by Ellet, a reporter who keeps up with Squad 7 and writes down all the events of the story that happened so you can read up on what you may have forgotten. This eventually draws the attention of the Empire. Jaeger and Gregor, two of the generals working under Lord Maximilian, leader of the Empire who's also commanding the military. Last we have Silvaria, a woman from a special bloodline known as the Valkyria. The Valkyria are a race of warriors that saved Europa from the Darkson race after they caused an immense amount of devastation known as the Darkson Calamity. When equipped with the lance and the shield of the Valkyrie, she becomes a weapon herself. Your journey with Squad 7 is to take out each of these adversaries, helping the Darkson people, discovering the history of the past, and save your country from all of it. Each battle gets tougher as the game goes on, with the general battles being much harder than the rest, and the battle with Silvaria being by far the most challenging. They use every piece of machinery and power at their disposal, leading to the battle against the Marmota. You, along with Squad 7, have to make your way onto the Marmota for the game's conclusion to take down Maximilian himself and save your country. The story was interestingly told, but the most valuable asset this game has is its characters. Each main character gets enough screen time to become at least fairly developed and have a great amount of interaction with one another. Some of my favorite exchanges of dialogue is with Welkin. His inability to compliment women properly.
I was worried it looked kind of silly.
No way! That plating on the back? It's like a coleopterate exoskeleton. Beetle-tastic!
Colio what? And did you just say beetle? Welkin? What kind of girl wants to hear that she looks like a bug?
Huh? Not just any bug. A rhinoceros beetle, king of the insects. Who wouldn't want that?
Welkin's power struggle with Largo.
Another thing we ain't doing is taking orders from some hotshot greenhorn.
All right, fine. Now listen and listen good. I'll have that bridge back in Gallia's hands in 48 hours.
Huh?
Now if my plan fails, which I doubt, then I'll resign. And Squad 7 will be all yours, Largo. But if my plan works, you'll take my orders and like it.
Your funeral, boss man.
And one of my favorites being Welkin and Alicia dealing with members of the Empire.
Reasons you had to save his life.
He was delirious. He was crying out for his mother. We may be enemies in this war, but we all have families waiting for us at home. As a human being, I couldn't just sit by and watch a man in pain without trying to do something.
My men are like a second family to me. Thank you. Thank you for honoring Fritz as you did. I'm sure his mother will appreciate it. I suppose we'll meet again on the battlefield. I'm sorry for that. You both seem like good people. For now, so long.
The way the story goes and the way the characters interact, the best way I can put it is, it's very anime. You also have supporting characters who get some screen time and also help move the story along in their own way, like Kreese, General Damon, and Leon. Some characters like Leon get little catchphrases, like when you get greeted by them.
Welkin, bro! I'm stoked you're here, man!
In battle when someone kills an enemy.
I'm not done yet.
And Welkin saying this at the beginning of every battle.
Squad 7, move out!
What a lame catchphrase. That's where I come in! Now that's a good catchphrase. Last, each character gets a little bio, kind of giving you more insight on them. Even soldiers you only use in battle get at least a little bit of info, though it's not nearly developed as much. Speaking of combat, let's get to that. The overall gameplay is pretty unique. The game plays as a strategy, turn-based, third-person shooter. It starts simple, but offers a lot more depth and strategy for those who want to delve deeper. Though a few maps have different objectives, it typically consists of taking control of an enemy camp or defeat an enemy. Both teams take turns back and forth, and the amount of actions you can perform depends on the number of command points you have. Most battles typically get a total of about 3 to 12 command points. Command points have two options for use. First, you use it to issue orders, which vary in use from increasing attack, defense, accuracy, evasion, or healing soldiers, among other things. Orders typically cost 1 to 3 command points based on what it does. This is done far less than the second option of combat, which is to command the Edelweiss, the Shamrock, and of course standard soldiers. The Edelweiss and the Shamrock tanks use 2 command points apiece to move them. They serve as your best overall offense, having missiles to blow up tanks, mortars to damage multiple enemies at once, and a machine gun to inflict heavy damage onto a single unit. They're also your absolute best defense, being immune to all bullet fire with the exception of the generator on the back, which only takes 1 damage per bullet. It also helps to serve as a wall to prevent against enemy crossfire. The only thing tanks are weak against are missiles from other tanks or from lancers, which, if shot in the generator, often destroys a tank in 1 shot. Lancers are one of 5 classes of soldiers that you can recruit. Starting more in the way it was introduced, we have Scouts, soldiers with high mobility who can survey the area, locate enemies, and can typically pick off most of them. You will use them a lot to gain an insane amount of ground. Next we have Shock Troopers, machine gunners with mid-range mobility, a greater defense, offense, and fire rate than Scouts. They're pretty well rounded, but strangely for me they're actually my least favorite class. Next we have the previously mentioned Lancers. They use explosive missiles to take out tanks, which is critical because no other standard soldier can do this. This unfortunately does come at a cost. They have low mobility and have no standard bullets, so they're ill-equipped to take out any standard soldier. Thankfully, they do have a high defense. Next, we have Engineers. They're very similar to Scouts, but weaker in almost every aspect. However, they can repair tanks, disarm landmines, and repair parts of the environment to use as coverage from enemy fire. Early in the game, you could typically get by without them, but later, they become absolutely essential. Last but not least, we have Snipers. Aside from low mobility and defense, self-explanatory. Once in battle, you have to complete certain objectives that they give you to advance the story. Once the battle is over, based on the amount of enemies you killed, typically in a one-shot or tanks, as well as the amount of time taken to complete the battle, you will get a rank from D to A. The ranks D, C, B, and A give flat experience or a 2, 2.5, or 3 times multiplier respectively. You as well get gold similar to these numbers for weapon and armor upgrades, which we'll discuss in just a moment. You can use the experience earned in battle to level up your characters in a unique way. In almost any other RPG that involves more than one character gaining experience, like Pokemon, Final Fantasy, Disgaea, Phantasy Star, the later East games, Fire Emblem, literally almost any other RPG, every character gets their own level and experience meter. This game instead allows for a training style where you advance the whole class, not the individual soldiers, to become more powerful as a group, making level grinding pretty harmless. Once a class becomes level 10, they become an elite class, allowing soldiers to use different abilities, like Scouts to use a grenade launcher or Shock Troopers to use flamethrowers. Weapons fall into that same kind of idea as well. As you improve your weapons from gold earned in battle at the Research and Development Building, each soldier gets the upgrade. If you go to the barracks though, you can change individual soldiers' gear, from ones from different development trees, stolen from enemy soldiers, or granted to you by Princess Cordelia. There is a little more to combat, like traits, potentials, and characters who work well together, but that stuff is more learned by playing the game. If you like the strategy aspect, this game is definitely worth a playthrough. The visuals to this game to me personally are very pleasing. The art style though does have good as well as bad parts. Going with an anime art style in my opinion was a great move for the future. Most older anime games tend to age pretty well, like Ys, Tales of, and even the cutscenes to games like Ninja Gaiden, which all still look good today. However, since it went with an anime style, I feel it hindered its ability to become a bigger breakout hit. Its strategy and third-person shooter style would have actually been really popular when the game came out in 2008, with games like Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, and Battlefield all being out around that time, but most fans of these games typically don't want to play something non-realistic. Personally, I loved it and I'm glad they went with the style they did. The music was very good as well. It covered a lot of different moods based on the atmosphere or what you were doing. The music for battle, as well as different atmospheres, whether it be a happy moment or a sad one, all fit beautifully. Overall, it was very well done. This game does have some other weaknesses too. One of them is that the PS3 version had no trophies to offer. I really feel it hurt this game's replay value. However, the remaster on the PS4 will have trophies, so assuming this comes stateside, this complaint is not even there anymore. I would have also liked to see more of an open world feature. Understandably, the game needed some limitations for the story, but being able to explore the headquarters would have been cool, like going out onto the training grounds, the R&D division, or just being able to chat with other soldiers and people. Some people might find that boring, but I personally would have loved to have seen that. Last would be a 2-player mode. Turn-based combat like this would have been awesome with 2 players, but maybe it's better they didn't include it in case you have that one friend who takes forever planning their next move or simply just picking their team.
Alright, your turn. Okay, cool. Someone already! I'm choosing. Relax. It takes time.
Overall, this is an amazingly well-crafted game, so if you can grab a hold of this, I highly recommend it. It's one of the best told stories on the PS3.
So tell me, bro, how far are we going today? This baby could take us clear across the sea if we want.
Back home. Back to a free country. Our friends are waiting. Take us to Randgrease.